with J and G. I'm Jay over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we're trying things a little bit differently. We're basically just gonna live stream our podcast as like private, and then I'll make it public once I get like the thumbnail and all that kind of stuff. But we just wanted to try something. We want to actually have like visuals. We had it last time with the draft, but it was kind of a little choppy still with the way we recorded. So we're gonna try this. We're gonna see how it works. Let us know how you like it. Before we get into it, I do want to address we did not have an episode this past Saturday. Levi was out of town. How was your trip out of town?
It was good. It was good.
And so it was just going to be me, and I didn't want to do a full second round preview without him. So we're going to do our full second round preview today. Now, again, as you see on the screen, we have the up to date like standings, like how the first round went and then where we're at in the second round. Obviously, all these series have had at least one game, and the Minnesota Denver series has had two games. So the way I'm doing it, and I'm not sure if you're doing it this way, Levi, you do it however you want. I'm going to give two predictions for each series. I'm going to give my prediction that I originally had going into the series, and then I'm going to give a little bit more of an updated prediction on how I feel after the first game or two games for the Minnesota series. Just because I don't want to be like, oh well, I'm going to pick Minnesota in 5, and it's like, well, yeah, it's easy to say that now because we're up 2-0. You know what I mean? Because that originally wasn't my pick. But yeah, I just figure make it very, very clear that way, and we'll talk about the first round a little bit too, probably just a little bit because we're already kind of deep into the second round. So, is there anything you want to talk about before we get into this?
Not really. I'm just ready for this NBA playoffs.
It's been good.
Basketball all around.
It's been definitely good. Where do you want to start at? Do you want to go through? I don't feel like we need to talk about every first round series. If I'm being completely honest with you.
I mean, I feel like the only ones we really should touch on is the Clippers, Dallas, Cleveland, Orlando, Pacers, like the close series.
Yeah.
Like OKC, Denver, Minnesota, Boston. We don't really have to touch on them because everyone pretty much knows.
I'll pretty much just I'll say this: OKC swept the Pelicans. They were the better team. Minnesota. I was a little surprised. I had the Suns winning in 7, so the Timberwolves going in and sweeping them was completely just. You know what I mean? But that's how they played. We all knew this was going to happen. We all knew Denver was going to beat the Lakers. It's just how it goes. Boston. They lost the game, but it's the Heat. They just tend to do that sometimes. I think I actually had Boston winning in 5 because I thought the Heat were going to steal a game just because it's how it goes.
They did, and they had a franchise record night when they did it.
Yeah, they did.
And that was it.
And that's the ones we'll brush past. But yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll finish out here in the West. We just have really one series in the West. We'll do that. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Los Angeles Clippers in 6 games. What was your reaction to that?
It wasn't surprising, especially when Kawhi Leonard was out most of the series with that knee swelling. I believe it was.
I think he only played the first 2 games.
Yeah, and without Kawhi Leonard, that the Clippers really didn't have much of a chance. I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really have much of a chance. I had the Clippers, I believe, advancing based on everyone being healthy, and obviously Kawhi Leonard was not healthy. So it was understandably why Dallas won, especially with Luka Doncic. But I will say this, Luka Doncic did struggle shooting the basketball percentage-wise in that series.
Yeah, they still lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Dallas still won.
Yeah.
I had the Clippers, but I can't be upset with Dallas winning it.
So I'll give my takes, and then I want to ask you a question about this Clippers team. My takeaways, I don't know if you remember back right around the All-Star break, we had our what teams we expected to have a better second half, or what teams we expected to take over in the second half. And the Clippers were my team for the Western Conference. I thought the Clippers, they got James Harden fully involved. At that point in time, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were looking good and they were healthy. And I just thought the Clippers were going to be the team that this was going to be their year to kind of go deep into the playoffs, maybe even to the finals. And then that didn't happen. They were actually worse after the All-Star break. And then they flame out here in the playoffs where Kawhi only played 2 games. And in the past 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years, he's only played 4 total playoff games. Kawhi Leonard. He's consistently out in the playoffs, and that's the Kawhi Leonard we know. Kawhi Leonard's always been a really good player. He's a good player in the regular season, but he's kind of like a Jimmy Butler type where you pay them for the playoffs because they always take that major step up in the playoffs. In the past couple of years with the Clippers, he's just not been able to play. And the last time we really consistently played is the year they went to the conference championship, which I think was the bubble. It was the year they went to the conference. It was around then. So it's like what you can't rely on Kawhi in the playoffs now, health wise, and then Paul George, outside of one game, really wasn't great for them either. Same way with James Harden. He had one game, like game one, he had a good game, but then other than that, really was non-existent. So it's like the big three that you had going into the playoffs, one only played 2 games, and the other 2 only showed up for 1 game. It was a complete letdown, and like, I don't know what's going to go on. They signed Kawhi Leonard to an extension. I think it was during the season or in the last offseason. Paul George is a free agent. So my question for you is the Clippers championship window closed? Was this the last year that it's done?
Yeah, I mean, you had all the pieces. The only thing you were missing was like a really good big man, but Zubac,
He's fine, yeah.
not someone to shy away from. You know,
Yeah,
he's a good center in the league. This was their chance. They needed everyone to be healthy, playing at the top of their game because the West is loaded. Let's be honest here. The West is loaded, and the West is going to be loaded for the next, like, 20 years. Right?
I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah. The West has always been loaded, and it's going to always be loaded.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this was their opportunity because you beat the Mavs, and you go against an inexperienced Thunder team when you have guys like Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi, who have all made deep playoff runs. And a couple of them made it, and I think the only one that didn't make it to the NBA championship was Paul George.
Yeah, because Harden had that early OKC one.
Yeah, all of them have had deep playoff runs, so they knew what to do to get there, and it just happened that Kawhi was injured. Paul George didn't show up, and James Harden did what James Harden does anymore and just doesn't show up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the window was like this year. That was the window for the most part.
I mean, I obviously we don't know what's going to go on Paul George. He grew up in California. I mean, he has his podcast and stuff like that. So like, I don't know if he's going to want to leave the Clippers because like that's home. It's where he has his life set up. But there's like legitimate, serious rumors about him going to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is another team I have kind of a bone to pick with that same idea, the championship window. But I think Philly's window is a little bit still more open compared to the Clippers. So it's like if Paul George leaves, then what direction is this team going to go in?
Honestly, I say you just clean house. You get as much assets as you can, and you try and rebuild again. You know,
the only problem with that is like I said, Kawhi Leonard signed an extension. I'm gonna pull up right now what it is. 3-year contract with the Clippers. An extension. I'm gonna try to see if I can find the exact, because there's another part to this too. But I just want to. Yeah. So no, he's got 3 more seasons. Whereas cap hits 49, 50, and 50. He's getting paid a lot of money, and you got to also think about it from the other side. The Clippers are not going to want to rebuild right now because next year they're going into their own stadium. They're getting their own stadium.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to convince people to pack out that house if they're rebuilding. Steve Ballmer really, and like you can't diss on it, but like Steve Ballmer is going to want Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden in that building because he knows it's going to get people in that building.
Yeah, but it's also the caveat to where can you bring back Paul George?
And I don't know if Paul George is leaving. Like I said, he grew up in California. He's always wanted to play in California, and he has his podcast, his in-person podcast that's doing pretty well. Like, it just might be too inconvenient for Paul George to go to Philly. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be what he wants. He might just resign with the Clippers because he's like, listen, I just want to be home. I want to, like, all my friends are here, all my family's here. I just want to be here. But I just don't know if what we've seen from Paul George recently I don't even know if he can be a number 2 on a championship team anymore.
I mean, that's also another thing to where if the Clippers and Paul George can't come to an agreement, we're also could be looking at a sign and trade.
But
you know what I mean?
I don't know. No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Because
I don't think there's any world where the Clippers voluntarily get rid of Paul George.
oh no, I'm not saying that they're voluntarily getting rid of him. I'm just saying if they can't re-sign him, like if Paul George is just like I'm not coming back, then I wonder if they could get a sign and trade done to where they're not just totally losing out.
I
That's
doubt
like
it.
the only scenario to where I would remotely see that happening.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't. I think if Paul George leaves, I think he's just gonna walk in free agency. I don't know, because then for Paul George, it's like, at least in free agency, I can pick where I want to go.
Yeah.
Even signing the trade, say, let's just say Paul George wants to go to Philadelphia. I can just sign with Philadelphia in the offseason. Why would I want to sign with Steve Ballmer might promise you, hey, like I'll trade you where you want to go, but really you're still under his control. He could send you to Detroit if he wanted to. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's in Steve Ballmer's power at that point in time. Plus you're gonna get assets for Paul George. There's no doubt about it. He's still a good player. And then in Paul George's eyes, it's like, why would I want to get traded to Philly in a sign and trade when they're going to take pieces from Philly and I'm trying to win a championship with Philly?
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to give up picks. They're going to have to give up players if they want Paul George. Well, Paul George's like, well, why would I do that? Like, why would they lose, 2 first-round picks and some player when I could just walk there without them losing anybody?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it would be like a last-ditch resort for the Clippers to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if they could even do that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if he's restricted or unrestricted or anything.
He's
like
unrestricted.
That. Well then, yeah, it's pretty much either going to sign him or it's going to be him walking.
Yeah, I think he's either going to re-sign or he's going to go to Philly. I think that's legitimately the two things that's going to happen.
I mean, there are rumors I shouldn't say rumors, but something that I would personally like to see, and I doubt it's going to happen, but a reunion with the Pacers.
I think that would be cool, but like I don't know if, and I know it's kind of stupid when Indiana's in the second round and Philly's not, but there's a lot of other reasonings for that. I think Philadelphia's in a better win now mood than Indiana is. And I think at this point Paul George's career is like 33, 34. Like he wants to win a ring. And if you're being honest with me, does adding Paul George to this Pacers team make them a championship contender?
I mean, obviously, I don't think that puts them over the Celtics.
Right. But then, if Philadelphia replaces Tobias Harris with Paul George, do you feel better about that or Paul George in Indiana?
I feel better with given like right now and Embiid coming back next season, and you have Tyrese Maxey. I would feel better about the 76ers, but I couldn't put them over Boston simply because that series is probably going to go 7.
Right.
And Embiid does not show up in Game 7, and we've seen Paul George struggle in the playoffs.
For sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like I think if he wants to win a ring, which is what I think his priority is at this point in his career, I think he's going to go to Philly if he leaves the Clippers. Plus the way he kind of talks about Indiana is like he kind of seems like he's glad to get out of there because of the way that organization was ran. And like how, you know what I mean? So like I don't know if I think he loves Indiana, but I don't know if he'd ever go back and play for them again. But obviously we don't know because we're not Paul George.
Yeah, we're not Paul George.
But yeah, no, going over to the Mavericks side. I mean, Kyrie Irving had a great series. PJ Washington had a couple good games. Like they were able to get enough outside of Luka not being able to shoot the ball well enough to, handle him in 6 games.
I mean, Derrick Jones Jr. playing some pretty damn good defense.
Yeah, and I don't, and I know it's gonna they just got their ass kicked by OKC in Game 1, and I haven't and still don't see Dallas as a championship contending team, but they're a fun team. I mean, and sometimes in the playoffs, that's really all you want, just a fun team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think this is where Dallas ends their season in this second round, but I don't want to get too. I just want to shout out them. We'll get over here to. Let's go to the Knicks and Philly. Let's go to this one. The New York Knicks win the series in 6 games. What? Give me your thoughts about this.
this was an interesting series because Philly was not that prototypical 7 seed.
Mhm.
And I know I said beforehand, like before, that Mitchell Robinson, he's gonna be the X factor. I don't think Mitchell Robinson played a whole lot in this series.
No.
And
I think he's out for the rest of the playoffs now, too.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be reevaluated in like 4 weeks.
6 to 8.
6 to 8. That's how
Yeah.
long it is. Damn. Anyways, I gotta give flowers to Isaiah Hartenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Hartenstein.
Hartenstein.
He played really, really good against Philly. He did what he needed to do to try and slow down Embiid and be productive on the offensive side against Embiid. The thing that hurt the 76ers obviously was being the 7 seed and Embiid coming off of the injury. If Embiid doesn't get injured, this is entirely different, but the Knicks played, in my opinion, as a better unit collectively than the 76ers did.
I mean, that Jalen Brunson was the best player in the series. And that's something we talked about before, about like, on a normal basis, Embiid's the better player because he's damn near the best player in the league. But coming off injury, Jalen Brunson, we both were like, yeah, coming off injury, though, Jalen Brunson is going to be better, and he was. He completely was the better player. And that's even with the first 2 games, he kind of struggled.
Yeah, I was going to say, we called that before the playoffs even started, that Brunson was going to be the best player in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed out. And I want to give also flowers to Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm. Big series.
Josh Hart balled out this series.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure for this series he averaged close to 20 points and like 12 rebounds.
Hell, he even hit the game-winning 3 to end the series.
Yeah. Man was just doing anything and everything out there, and I am here for it.
Oh, yeah.
I seen a quote. It wasn't a quote, but I seen someone say, like, Josh Hart is the MJ of role players.
I can't even argue with that, honestly.
And I'm here for that, because that is amazing to see.
Yeah, and like, sticking with the Knicks right now, yeah, I was impressed they were able to win the games where Brunson struggled, because he was shooting awful the first 2 games. And the fact that they were able to still come out and win this series, I don't know. I think it just shows that this team's more serious than I think a lot of us take them, if that makes sense. They're kind of like one of them 2 seeds where they're like with the injuries and like Damiano's struggling, they kind of hopped up from the 4 seed to the 2 seed. But like, these guys are legit. Jalen Brunson is like a borderline, maybe you even want to give it to him, superstar. I think Jalen Brunson has been the second best player in this entire playoffs, like the entire playoffs. I think it's been Anthony Edwards at 1, and it's been Jalen Brunson at 2.
Oh yeah, I can't disagree with you, because I pulled up his stats right now. He's averaging 36.6 points per game. He's getting 5 rebounds and almost 9 assists.
And he was the first player in it's been some time that he's had 4 straight 40-point games in the playoffs.
That's absurd. That's insane.
Yeah. It's like after his 2 stinkers to open up the series, he's just been on fire since.
Yeah, and I mean, I also gotta give flowers to OG Anunoby.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing well this series. He's averaging like 15, grabbing 7 boards. He's got over a steal and block a game. He's just doing anything and everything they need him to do.
He also played some pretty good, valuable minutes of defense on Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the Knicks I'm excited for them. I think this is a team, like, I think this is a conference finals team, if I'm being completely honest with you. I just do. Going to Philly, Joel Embiid played well for basically 3/4 of every game. He struggled in the fourth quarters in almost every single game. After game 6, he was still shooting less than 30% in the fourth quarter from the floor. For some reason in the fourth quarter, and I'm guessing just because he's come back from injury, he's still gassed. He just looked lethargic. He was taking shots. He was not hitting them. He was shooting less than 30%. He was bad in the fourth quarters, and that's what lost them multiple games. Hell, this series would have ended in 5 if Tyrese Maxey didn't go supernova in game 5 and win them that game in overtime.
Yeah, I mean that was the kryptonite to this 76ers team was Embiid missing all them games because then he gets out of game shape. He had to, go through the surgery, go through recovery, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And until he started, fully playing again, it's hard to get back into game shape that fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, he averaged 33, but his field goal percentage was 44%. Tyrese Maxey shot better from the floor than Embiid did.
Yeah. Tyrese Maxey was the best player on the team in that series.
He was. And Joel Embiid, he was shooting about six and a half threes a game, making 2.2. He shot 33% from three. The only saving grace for the most part for Embiid was the free throws. He averaged 13 a game and he was making 11.
And you know what? I can't even be mad. I can't be mad at Embiid for getting to the free throw line, and especially this series. He needed it's a break for him basically. It gives him a chance to get up there, take a breath, and relax and dribble the ball. And then he's got to get up to the line. He's got to wait for the refs to get all their stuff in. Then they throw him the ball. He can dribble it a couple times. He's tired. It gives him a chance to have a break. So I think that's exactly why he was trying to get the fouls. I mean, he's always been a guy. He's always a foul baiter, but I think he was just doing it to get a break from the in-game action.
Yeah, 100%. And for the people that are going to be out there and be like, oh, well, you're just taking the overall field goal percentage, and Maxey was shooting better from three. Even on 2-point attempts, Maxey was about 4 percentage points better just from twos, which is kind of insane to think about. You know what I mean?
Dude, but like I said, Tyrese Maxey. It sucks they lost because Tyrese Maxey is probably, maybe arguably a top 5 player in this playoff so far. He was nuts in this first round. And this kind of brings me up to a question where I said with the Clippers I wanted to mention with the Philadelphia 76ers is I don't think their championship window is closed yet. But Embiid's going to be 31 going into next season. He's always had injury history. How much longer can this team be built around Joel Embiid?
I'd give it 2 more years, maybe 3.
Okay, I said in my video 1 to 2 more years. You have a 23-year-old all-star caliber guard. He really broke out, and he said himself it was easier when Embiid came back because he lost some of that attention he was getting on defense. But even when Embiid was out, he was still playing fantastic. Now, I'm not saying right now Tyrese Maxey you're 1A on a championship team. But what I'm saying is I don't know if Joel Embiid's your 1A on a championship team. And if they can maybe I don't think they're going to trade Embiid. I don't think he's going to leave. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to make that kind of argument or that kind of accusation for the 76ers. But I just think they have to start very soon looking at we need to start catering this team around Tyrese Maxey instead of Joel Embiid.
Yeah, 100%. And also having the third option in Tobias Harris, pardon my French here, but shit the bed he did for the most part. I'm pretty sure this was the end of Tobias Harris in Philly.
Yeah.
They got to go out and get a third star to pair up with Maxey and Embiid.
I agree.
And it could be the resurgence or it could be the outbreak of Kelly Oubre Jr. could be that player next year. I don't think so. I think if you had Paul George, this team is going to open up the offense a lot more because then you're not relying on Embiid on a lot of post-ups, and it's going to give him a little bit of a break and a little less workload.
Right.
And it's going to be good for Maxey to learn a little bit from Paul George, like Maxey learned from James Harden.
Yeah.
But I give it 2 more years for Embiid to be putting up this kind of, 30 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. I give it 2 more, maybe 3 years for a consistent put out like that. And I feel like in a year or 2, that's when you got to start looking for Maxey to be the superstar of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, I don't know. I'm not saying it's time yet, but I think it has to be serious considered. I mean, he's going to be 31 with an injury history. And I don't know. But yeah, we'll get on there. We'll get on to the Milwaukee Bucks and Indiana Pacers. The Pacers end up winning the game in 6. Giannis didn't play a single second of this playoffs at all, and I think Dame missed 1 or 2 games. What was your reaction there?
I mean, the only reason that Milwaukee was able to snag one of the games was because Damian Lillard went nuclear.
Yeah.
In the first half of the first game, and then kind of did nothing the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I caught it, but I did call it.
I mean,
that Lillard was going to go nuclear in game 1, and Milwaukee was going to win.
You did. You definitely did.
And it was just accumulation of Giannis not being there at all. Damian Lillard wasn't playing his best. And you're looking at the rest of the Milwaukee team, and it's kind of just like, well, we don't have that true ball handler. We don't really have that guy to go out there and get us a bucket outside of Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
Flowers to Brook Lopez because he was pulling stuff out from when he was in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He was posting up, doing post moves. He was shooting threes. Like, he was trying his best to try and do whatever he could. Like, he was pulling out stuff from like 10 years ago, from when he was a back to the basket big. It was just, it's sad to see what's going on with his Milwaukee team. It really is.
I agree. I don't know what's next for this team. This is the second year in a row they lost in the first round to a lower seed. And in both now playoffs, Giannis has missed time. Last year he missed basically like a game and a half, 2 games, and they lost to the Heat. And this year he didn't play at all. You're not trading Damian Lillard. You know what I mean? You just made that blockbuster trade last offseason. You're not trading Damian Lillard. Really, the only valuable asset you have to trade is Chris Middleton. Nobody's going to want Brook Lopez at age 36, 37. Nobody really is going to trade anything valuable for Malik Beasley. You know what I mean? It's like, where do they even get better? I don't know where they get better at.
I mean, the only 2 assets, like you said, was Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis. Those are like the 2 major assets that you would be willing to trade to try and get better.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, then you look down, you have Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Pat Connaughton, Danilo Gallinari, Jay Crowder. Like, no one is going to be trading anything significant for them, and nobody wants a 30-plus Brook Lopez, who's probably going to retire
36,
in the next
37, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to retire in the next 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just don't have the player assets to go make a move, and I'm not 100% sure on what their draft is looking like.
I don't know if their picks wise. We'll go move on from them because I want to dive into the second round series, so we'll get through this last series pretty quickly. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Orlando Magic in 7 games. Well, what do you got there?
This was, I feel like, by far the best series.
I could not disagree anymore. This series was boring as hell.
It was the only series to go 7.
It was, but a lot of the games just weren't good. It was just blowouts for the most part.
Fair. I do think that Jared Allen stepped up.
Yes. Yeah, the lights were not too bright for him this time.
Yeah, he stepped up and he performed. He averaged 17 and about 14. Through the first round, Evan Mobley played pretty good. Darius Garland. Like, this was just a good team effort with Donovan Mitchell average almost 30 through the first round.
Donovan Mitchell wasn't even great either. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
Is they won the series with Donovan Mitchell not even being great, and Darius Garland also not being great.
Yeah, I feel like it was just more of a thing to where Orlando didn't have the big men to go up against Allen and Mobley. You know what I mean? And I was watching Tristan Thompson got some minutes there.
Yeah.
Old man Thompson. I don't know if he was good or not because I really didn't dive deep into the series. But old man Thompson was out there. Shout out to him. But it was just Allen and Mobley were just big interior forces. And Orlando didn't have the players to be able to match up against it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, only 2 games were within 10 points, and one was exactly 10 points. Other than that, it was blowout for the Cavs, blowout for the Magic, blowout for the Cavs, blowout for the... It was just, like, I don't know. I feel like we didn't, like, for as good as the talent both these teams have, we didn't really get to see them like battle because it's always just one team was just manhandling the other.
It was pretty much whoever had home court was just absolutely obliterating the other.
And it just like I don't know. Paulo was great this series. He was fantastic this series. He was one of the best players. I think he was the best player in the series, honestly. Franz Wagner, fucking a awful game 7. I don't know what's going on with him. He was not their second best player of the series, even this season. Like I don't know what's going on with him this year. Just didn't happen. Wendell Carter was awful this playoff run, and I think a lot of it's just because he's an undersized center and he couldn't do anything against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They were running Jonathan Isaac at center because it was just a better option for him. I don't know. This team's they're probably gonna let Markelle Fultz walk. Like I don't know what's gonna go on with this Magic team. I'm excited for them. I think they have a bright future. But yeah, no, I don't know. This was kind of a boring series for me, honestly. And I was actually kind of trying to pull for the Magic a little bit, but I do like seeing Donovan Mitchell move on.
Yeah, I feel like one of the big things for this Magic gonna go for in the off season is a point guard and a actually sizable center. You know what I mean? Like when I'm talking center, I'm talking like 7 foot and can basically a defensive center that can give you a little bit of scoring if need be.
Yeah, because Jonathan Isaac was actually playing pretty decent at center, but I don't think you want him being your full-time starting center.
Yeah, no, if it's throw him in there, get a couple minutes, for like a 5-6 minute stretch maybe, that's understandable, that's serviceable, but you don't want him going out there and being your starting center night in and night out.
No, yeah. So that's all the first round series. How many? Let's do this real quick. How many did we get right? We'll go through each series and we'll say who we had originally picked. Okay.
Okay.
Boston.
I had Boston too.
I'm pretty sure I had Cleveland.
I had the Magic.
I had Milwaukee.
I believe I had Milwaukee too.
I believe I had the Knicks.
I'm pretty sure I had the Sixers.
I had OKC.
I had OKC too.
I don't remember who I had here.
I had the Clippers.
I think I might have had the Clippers as well. But I wouldn't have been shocked if I picked Dallas. I had the Suns.
I had the Timberwolves.
I had Denver.
I had the Lakers.
All right, you know what? Didn't do. This one's gonna haunt me. This one's gonna haunt me. Picking this, I picked the Suns in 7, and they got manhandled.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so where do we want to start here for the second round?
We can start with OKC and Dallas.
Let's start with OKC and Dallas. Okay. I actually didn't get to watch this game. I was busy at a graduation last night for my stepmom. Shout out to her. So I actually did not get a chance to watch this game. But I do know OKC manhandled the Mavericks.
Yes, they won 117 to 95.
Yeah, did you have anything about this game?
I mean, Shea has just been playing phenomenal like he's been through the playoffs so far. Luka continuing to struggle shooting the basketball. He went 6 for 19 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3. You can't have that, especially when Shea goes for 29. Chet has 19. Williams has 18. And then I think that's Aaron Wiggins comes off the bench and gives you 16.
Yeah.
You can't have Luka going 1 for 8.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
You can't. It's something that cannot happen. And also Gafford, he was really consistent in scoring the basketball efficiently. Went 5 for 12. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, he was going against Chet, and he was going against Williams. He's got to go at least 10 for 12.
That's a high percentage.
9 for 12, 10 for 12. He cannot be missing a whole lot. Now, he did have 5 blocks, so it was there on the defensive end, but Luka's got to hit his threes. And Gafford's got to be a little bit more efficient. He's got to be around, like 7, 8, 9 made field goals out of 12.
I don't, like I said, I don't really have an opinion. I can't really give much of an opinion because I did not watch this game. I can only talk about stats. It looks like Chet Holmgren. It looks like Jalen Williams had a good game. Yeah, no, I mean, Aaron Wiggins is coming and give you 16 points. Shea had almost a 30-point triple-double. And Luka, yeah, 19, 6 and 9. Yeah. What's going on with him? Why is he struggling this playoffs?
I don't know. That's just a big question mark that only I don't even know if he could answer it. I just feel like he's in a funk right now and he has to get out of it fast.
And he's always
You know
been
what I
pretty
mean?
good in the playoffs too. So I don't know why all of a sudden this year he's struggling.
I don't know. I don't know. That's like one of the big things that is just questioning. Like it could just be a fluke. You know what I mean? Going against OKC and they came out like they did in the next game. He could go
Well, yeah,
for
but he did it against the Clippers too.
I. It also could be that he has Kyrie, that he's kind of like, oh, well, I don't have to play as good. But I don't think that would be Luka. I'm gonna be
I was
honest.
gonna say because he was an MVP candidate in the regular season. You know what I mean? It's like this is just starting to happen in the playoffs. That's what I'm confused about.
I don't know. Maybe it's because there's an expectation of Dallas to potentially do something this year in
I
the
don't know.
playoffs. I know it's just very weird with Luka, and I don't know why he's struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he can pick it up because, I mean, if Lucas struggles, there's a chance OKC just walks through this series.
Pretty much, especially if if he continually struggling taking 19 shots.
Yeah.
Now, if he's struggling and taking, like 12 shots and Kyrie's taking more shots and kind of taking more of a scoring load, then there's a chance. But if Luka keeps playing like this, we could see OKC in 4, OKC in 5.
Well, okay, so we'll do this. I'll give you my two picks now. Originally, going into the series, I had OKC in 7. What was your original pick before the series started?
I OKC in 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. You could say it about the Clippers, but I just feel like this OKC team is better equipped to beat a Dallas team.
Well, they
You know
have
what
a
I mean?
lot of defenders. They have a lot of defenders
They
to
do.
get in front of Kyrie and Luka.
The OKC coach, I can't remember
Mark
his name
Daigneault.
right now. Yeah, he even said in an interview, someone asked him, what was your defensive solution for Luka? He said Lou Dort. Make sure he gets there on time.
Yeah. I mean, you got Lou Dort, you got Jalen Williams or J Dub. You have Case and Wallace off the bench. Shea's a pretty decent defender. Like Josh, you have guys that can go out and get in front of Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah, and that's what you need and disrupt them. And I mean, it could be that. It could be something personal for Luka, why he's not playing good. But this OKC team is very much well equipped to battle this Mavericks team, and it could get ugly.
Yeah, no, my original pick was OKC in 7. After just watching Luka struggle again, I might drop it to OKC in 6. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. It depends a lot on Luka. If Luka comes back out and is on fire again, I could still see it going 7. But I just think OKC is walking out of this series.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that. OKC in 6 probably, maybe 5, probably 6.
So next, well, again, a game last night. So I actually forgot they even played. I didn't realize they played because I was again busy last night. Boston beats the Cavaliers 120-95. What's happening there? You're a Boston fan.
I'm happy with it. Porzingis being injured, obviously he's not great, but being able to come out and put a performance like this up with him being injured, it's just very, very good to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As a Celtics fan, it's very promising to see. Derek White, he has stepped it up since the playoffs started.
He's been better than Tatum.
Yeah, he has. He has. And I know a lot of people out there being like, well, Jason Tatum can't shoot the ball, this and that. He's being very inefficient. He is being very inefficient, but it's also the point to where when Jaylen Brown's giving you 32, Pritchard gives you 16 off the bench, Derek White goes for 25. Do you want him to be efficient? Yes, but does he have to be efficient? Not really. I mean, personally, I want him to be efficient. I want him to score 30 a game in the playoffs.
Right.
But in a theoretical, statistical standpoint, he doesn't have to, especially when Porzingis is there, because Porzingis could go for 30 himself.
Yeah, this is something that's been happening for Tatum. Like I don't know. Like they're winning despite him not really being able to shoot the ball well. And I mean,
Yeah,
it shows how good this team is in general. Like it just shows that this Celtics team is built really well. But you're getting through the Eastern Conference right now, right? But if you're facing a team like Minnesota, Denver, OKC in the finals, and Tatum's struggling, do you see yourself with a chance?
if Porzingis is back, yes. If he's not back, then it's gonna be even more of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know, Porzingis has been playing good. He played good the first round against Miami. He played good through the regular season, but he is that X factor for the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you get to a team like when you get to OKC, Denver, Minnesota, or possibly even Dallas, he's gonna be that X factor that kind of decides the game.
Yeah.
Because if Tatum does go 7 for 19 from the field, 0 for 5 from three, and he continues struggling, it's gonna be a long day and it's gonna be a long series for Boston.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This team goes as far as Tatum can play, in my opinion. And they might be able to get through a relatively weaker Eastern Conference without him playing well. But if they have genuine championship aspirations, which we know they do, they need Tatum to just kind of start taking over again. And I'm also excited. Like, yeah, you can. I think you can beat the Cavs this way without it. The Knicks is going to be a tougher team to beat. And then if you get past them, I just don't think you can win a championship without Tatum being the best player.
Tatum basically has to be your 1 or 1A for this team to make it
Yeah.
to the championship or potentially even win a championship.
And it's just kind of scary because I don't want him to wait. Like, I don't want to get to the finals and then now it's like, okay, yeah, Tatum, now we need you to step up. You know what I mean? Like, this needs to start happening now.
100% it does.
Yeah. Again, I can't really put too much insight because I didn't watch. Is there anything else you want to talk about with your Celtics?
I do want to shout out Luke Cornett coming off the bench and filling in for Kristaps Porzingis. He had 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 4 points. He came in and did what he needed to do in the absence of Porzingis.
Okay. Shout out to him then.
Yeah, shout out Luke Cornett.
So I guess next we'll go ahead and look at this Knicks series. The Knicks beat the Indiana Pacers in a very very close game. Some people were saying the Knicks got bailed out by the refs. I don't know. I mean, you can tell that how you want. They ended up winning 121-117, but I don't like. I hate that. It's always that conversation. I feel like whenever, especially in the playoffs now, whenever a team loses, it's always because of the refs.
And also, let's be honest here. We went through the same controversy in the women's NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If it was an illegal screen, you call an illegal screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's you could say, oh well, they can't call it in that moment of that game.
Nah, that's not a thing. I don't think. Yeah,
we've talked about this a lot. You call it. You know what I mean?
100%.
You call the moving screen illegal screen. Just like if there would have been a shooting foul, you call the shooting foul. Because then it gets that nuance where it's like, oh, well, you don't call the illegal screen. Well, then why should you call the shooting foul or the reach-in when this player's going up for a layup or this player's shooting a jump shot?
Yeah.
Then it just gets into a whole different stratosphere than what we really need to. When it was a foul, you call the foul.
Yeah, I hate the idea of situational calls. If it's a foul, you call. Yeah, it's a foul. It's a foul. It's Yeah, no, it's stupid. And I don't know. You can look at the refs all you want. You should be looking at Tyrese Halliburton. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists. Again, just not a good game from Tyrese Halliburton.
You could even say T.J. McConnell played better than him.
Yes, and they barely played T.J. McConnell in the second half when he was playing better.
Yes.
It's I don't know. I'm worried about Tyrese Halliburton right now. He's just not been consistently good. And you might want to be like, Oh yeah, like you 100% Pacers fans are going to blame the refs, and they're going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter that Halliburton had a bad game. If Halliburton has even half a decent game, you're winning this game by 10 plus points. It doesn't even come down to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't let the game get decided by refs when your star player isn't playing like your star player.
Exactly. There was something that my dad, who is a coach, who said, don't leave the game in the hands of the officials.
Exactly.
And they left it in the hands of the officials. If you don't want it to be a decision or a call made by a ref that impacts the entirety of the game, you need to go out there and you need to take it.
Yep.
And obviously, Halliburton and the Pacers didn't take it. But Miles Turner, aside from that illegal screen, he played good this game. He did what he needed to do. Spicy P could have been a little bit more efficient. Obviously, he did have 19, but Jalen Brunson, dog.
Just another good game for Jalen Brunson, where it's just what he's been all pretty much playoffs after the first two games, and I don't know. I have the Knicks winning this in 6, maybe 5.
I could see Knicks in 5 because, Spicy P goes for like 35 and Turner goes for like 30 and they win by like 10. I could see something like that happening. But if Halliburton continues to play like this and they don't give TJ McConnell more minutes when he's playing better, the Knicks are going to take this in 5. Especially with Brunson going for 43. Josh Hart, another double-double, almost triple-double. He had 24 and 13. I don't see this Pacers team being able to outplay the Knicks for even 5 games. Knicks are taking it.
The only thing that scares me about, scared, I don't want to use the word scares me because it doesn't scare me, but like, if you're the Knicks, the thing you should be worried about, or a Knicks fan, the thing you should be worried about, is the Knicks, if somebody just blows by my house with a loud car. But the Knicks are a very big offensive rebounding team. They crash you off of offensive rebounds, and they're the best in the league at it. And that's great for them. The problem now is when you're playing Philadelphia, who is a slow team, if you don't get the offensive rebound, you can just get that back down the court. The Pacers are the fastest, if not one of the fastest, if not the fastest team in the league. If the Knicks if they crash, 3 people crash the offensive rebound and they don't get it, it's an easy bucket on the other end for the Pacers.
It is.
The Pacers play the style of basketball that can beat the Knicks. The fast pace, getting down the court. It's just, I don't know if they have the talent to win 4 games out of 7.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. For that, the Knicks, like you said, they do love crashing the offensive glass. If then, I would send like Hartenstein and Hart in there to potentially grab a rebound, offensive rebound, Anunoby, Brunson, and DiVincenzo, or whoever's out there for them at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I would have them start working their way backwards to cover that transition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And basically have like, basically 2 attack and then 3 fall back. You know what I mean? So if you don't get it, then you still have 3 defenders back instead of 1 or 2.
Honestly, I think the Knicks are just going to still do their thing. They're just going to crash the offensive rebound and pray that they get it. I mean, they're the best in the league for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if every once in a while they don't get it, and the Pacers get an easy fast break bucket, I think they'll live with that. But yeah, no, I have Knicks. I have Knicks in 6. Like I said, I think the Pacers. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, if he has a big game, could win them a game. I could have won them game 1. You know what I mean? But I just think the Knicks have the deeper, overall better talent team, so I'm going to go Knicks in 6.
I got Knicks in 5. I believe they are playing tonight. Knicks are going to win. Brunson's going for 50. And Knicks are going to go up 2-0.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. Next in the final series is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. The Minnesota Timberwolves go into Denver, go into Mile High, the place that people consider the hardest stadium to play, and they take both games from Denver. What are you thinking?
Anthony Edwards is the reincarnation of Michael Jordan.
That's certainly a popular thing right now, isn't it?
It is. But no, it's just they don't have an answer for Anthony Edwards on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. Anthony Edwards has just been tearing through them for the first 2 games of the series. And the one thing that Minnesota has that the Lakers didn't have was someone to watch out for Aaron Gordon, right?
Yeah.
They have that person that they can kind of linger, watch out for Aaron Gordon. And also on the offensive end, Aaron Gordon is either going to be guarding Rudy Gobert or Cat. And then Jokic is going to be on the other one. So it's kind of like, who do you want on who?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if I can get Gobert posted up, I'm not saying like go to him, like 20 times or whatever. But if I can feed him, like 3 times against Aaron Gordon deep into the post and have him do a little hook shot or something, I'm taking that.
Yeah.
And then if you have Aaron Gordon on Cat, I'm taking Cat over Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
And that's not even throwing in Naz Reid or, Alexander Walker off the bench.
Honestly, like I said, going into this series, my original pick was going to be Denver in 7. Denver's been so dominant the past couple years, and this Timberwolves team is relatively young in the playoff atmosphere outside of like a Rudy Gobert. And I just expected more out of Jamal Murray than we've gotten from him right now. He's not getting suspended for Game 3. He's just getting a $100,000 fine for throwing the heating pad and throwing the towel on the court and stuff like that. I was a little surprised by that, but I think, I honestly, I'm going to be honest, I think the NBA is favoring him a little bit with that. And just being like,
been Draymond, he would have been suspended for the series.
Maybe a game or so, but like, I just think like, I think they know like what is at stake, and they don't want to lose him for Game 3. Like, I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that, but I think it's what it is. Jamal Murray has not looked good. They've given Jokic a lot of trouble. He's had some good games, but like he's like if you're watching, it's a struggle for him right now. And Michael Porter Jr. is not shooting the ball very well right now. Anthony Edwards is just taking over, like you said. Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, there's that clip going around where they're just harassing Jamal Murray the entire way up the court. Like, this is the best team Denver's played against in the past 2 or 3 playoffs.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, for the Murray thing, if he is still suffering from that, what was it, a strained calf?
Yeah, something like that.
If he's still suffering from that, when you have, like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley, or even McDaniels hounding you up the court, it's gonna wear you out even more with that injury. And then with Jokic, when you have McDaniels, Cat, Gobert, Naz Reid, that you can throw at him relentlessly, and you can keep subbing people in, or you can have a somewhat different play him a different way, it's going to get him tired out.
Let's not even forget, they won Game 2 without Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert didn't even play Game 2, and they shut them down just as much.
Yeah.
Like, this Timberwolves team is just having a all-time run right now, and I think it's going to be OKC and Minnesota in the second round, or the conference finals. That's going to be one of the best series we've seen this entire playoffs. That is like pure offense going against pure defense.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think the Nuggets get 1 or 2. My original pick going into this series would probably be Nuggets in 7.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it now, I'm thinking Minnesota in 6. Especially if they can keep playing like this. And if Murray keeps being this inefficient, like he was even in the first round series, he didn't play that good.
Yeah.
And some of them shots, like we were talking about in earlier episodes, some of them shots that Jokic, Murray, or would just throw up and would miraculously go in somehow, they aren't going in.
No, they're not.
And they got lucky. They got extremely lucky, in my opinion, to not have given the Lakers 2 or 3 games.
What do you mean by that?
If Murray misses both of them shots, or something else happens, the Lakers were then looking at a 3-2. Or, like a 3-1 or something else, and this would just be an entirely different conversation.
Okay.
The Nuggets got extremely lucky that they were able to turn it up in the second half. And then Murray was able to hit those 2 clutch shots.
I mean, I guess I can't argue with that. I think they were going to handle the Lakers either way, but I mean, I can't argue with that. I don't know. I expect more out of Denver. I don't think they're just going to go down without a swing. You know what I mean? They're one of the best teams in the league for a reason, and I think we'll see. There's no way they don't get out of here with at least 2 games, I don't think.
They're going to get at least. They should get at least 2.
The only thing, and I don't think so because the way this Minnesota Timberwolves team is, they're playing and the way like they're acting, I just don't want them to go home into Minnesota and lose both. If they go back to Denver tied 2-2, that's a massive L. Massive L on their part. And that could change the series completely.
Minnesota, if they don't get both and sweep them, they have to get 1.
They have to get 1.
They have to get 1.
It has to be at worst 3-1 going back.
If they lose both of these in Minnesota and it's 2-2, the series has just flipped.
Yeah.
Like, normally, if it's like 1-1 going into this game, okay, well, home court advantage, which is a big thing. You know, home court advantage, well, if Denver wins game 3, they have it back. But Minnesota has pretty much taken home court advantage.
Oh, completely.
Because let's just say they lose game 3 but win game 4, you're playing game 5 in Denver, game 6 is in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Lord forbid if they win both and the series is just over.
Yeah.
And now we're scratching our head just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And also, shout out to the GM. Because I believe it was the GM that built the Nuggets and then turned around and then built the Timberwolves.
he built the super team and then turned around and built one to beat the super team.
Yeah, he was just like, you know what? I'm going to build this team and I'm going to build this team and we're just going to see which one is better. Which is kind of crazy to think about.
It is. It is definitely nuts to think about. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I've loved watching the breakout of Anthony Edwards. I think we had questions. We talked about it on this podcast, like about the future face of the league, and I was like, with Anthony Edwards, he has the personality and the charisma, but like he hasn't taken that step into superstardom yet. Well, he's definitely done that this playoff run. He's definitely done that this playoff run.
He absolutely came out and just went right after the Suns in that first round. He didn't care if it was Devin Booker, KD, or whatever. And I know a lot of people are talking about, the torch is being passed from KD to Anthony Edwards. I'm like, you could call it that, but Anthony Edwards just went out there and played like a madman, and he's still playing like a madman.
Yeah, he's playing nuts, and like I said, I think he's been the best players in this playoff in general. Like, just out of everybody, I think he's been the best. Yeah, man, I don't know.
I think the top 2 players in this playoff so far are Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson.
100%.
And Anthony Edwards is not just scoring; he had 7 assists in game 2. So it's not like he's just going down there and scoring; he's facilitating a little bit and he's getting assists.
And that's exactly. I think that's the big. A lot of times we look at. There's 2 ways to look at it. So you come in and you look at these players like a Tyrese Haliburton. That's a pass-first kind of guy. But the way for their game to open up more is for them to be an offensive threat as well. They got to be able to score the ball themselves to open up their teammates. Anthony Edwards, on the other hand, is a score-first guy. So if he's able to open up his game by passing, getting people moving around, it's going to make it easier for him to score.
Oh, 100%. And also, I do want to shout out, I believe it's Kyle Anderson. Yeah, it is Kyle Anderson for the Timberwolves. Came out in game 2 and almost gave the Nuggets a triple-double. He had 6 points, 8 assists, 9 rebounds with 2 steals.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he definitely did have a good game too. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I don't think this is going to be a sweep. If it is a sweep, then Minnesota's they're punching their ticket to the championship because they're just on a historical run. But I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think all these series are going to be good. It's just can Luka step up and be playback to himself, and there's a chance Boston just dog walks Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I mean, yeah, for your sake, I'm sure you are.
As a Celtics fan, I'm hoping for it. As a just basketball fan in general, I hope it becomes a better series.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's our second round preview. Anything else you really want to hit on?
shout out to Rudy Gobert for winning his 4th Defensive
Yes,
Player of the Year.
he did. Rudy Gobert won his 4th DPOY, which is he's one of only like 4 or 5 people in history to have that. So,
Nope.
first ballot Hall of Famer.
People saying that Wembanyama should have won it, but just get ready to just be prepared to say his name for that DPOY award for the next 10 years.
Oh my God, yeah, no, yeah. Wemby's gonna have plenty of time to win.
Oh yeah, he's gonna. I predict at least 4 in the next 10 years, at least.
Honestly, I can't say you're wrong for that. We'll see.
We could see him have 4 MVPs and 4 DPOYs in 10 years. Just be
really setting the bar high.
I mean, if he continues playing like he did, and he even elevates it more, if the Spurs get him a true point guard,
mm-hmm.
the height for Wemby next season would be just unimaginable, in my opinion.
It is definitely, yeah.
But that's about all I got.
Well, I mean, hey, we tried a little bit different this episode. Let us know how you liked it. And even if it isn't great this first time, it's going to take us time to kind of like really get this down, get this going. It's a different little setup for us. But yeah, no, I thought we had a pretty good episode. I know I wasn't able to fully give some opinions on some things because I missed out on a night of basketball because of that, but that's okay. It happens. We'll see, man. By the time, Saturday comes back around, we'll check back in on the series, see how we're doing, and that all we got?
That's all I got.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys to go check out my YouTube, Cloud2K. I actually just put out a 76ers rebuild today, just because the frustrations with them. And, yeah, dude, I still do my Patriots Dynasty series a couple times a week. So go check out Cloud2K. And Levi, you want to shout out yours?
Garbage Gamer, doing a Super Bowl run challenge in Madden. So, yeah, go check that out. Also, go watch his Patriots Dynasty series to watch him slowly lose his mind.
Yeah, it's definitely getting there. Yeah, it's getting late in the Madden cycle. I don't know what I'm going to do with this series, but Madden's a very frustrating game, so it's getting to me a little bit. Well, that'll do it for this episode, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.